So let's start with the introductions. I'm Bart. I'm head of marketing at Zeropark, and this is the first ever live AMA session of Zeropark, and the first one done together with affLIFT. So together with me to answer all your questions are Mr. Neil Burton, the head of account management at Zeropark. This is Neil. Wave.
Hello.
And also Mr. Luke Klink, the man behind affLIFT. Say hello, Luke. So everyone recognizes your face now.
Yeah, hello, everyone.
Cool. So yeah, throughout the webinar, you can ask your questions in the Q&A sections or in the chat, whatever you prefer. I would prefer if you ask them in the Q&A section. There should be a box, an icon of Q&A on it on the bottom of the screen. At least that's how it looks for me. We'll be answering those questions throughout the webinar, so feel free to type in your questions already, and we'll answer them. And as you type your questions, I have some questions for our guests here. So yeah, let's start with Luke maybe. What kinds of campaigns have you been running lately with Zeropark, and what has been bringing you the most success in those crazy times?
Sure. So anyone that's on affLIFT knows that I've been running a lot of dating campaigns lately, specifically push dating. And I mean, that's been my primary focus basically since the coronavirus stuff started happening. Prior to that, I was running a lot of push traffic, or I'm sorry, a lot of pop traffic with like carrier billing offers and those types of campaigns. But the timing just, it wasn't intentional. I just found what I thought was a good offer from a good source, and started pushing these dating campaigns. And I created a couple of landing pages that I've posted in affLIFT, different types of dating pre-sales. And that's been pretty much my focus. Everybody that's on the forum knows that I had one of the offers I got paused on, but the campaigns are still alive and kicking. So that's been the majority of my focus lately, is these dating campaigns. I will say the one thing that you're going to run into if you try to emulate that is the quality, as far as like getting the registrations. That's super easy with push. Like that seems to be a no-brainer. But after getting the user to register and actually spend money on the site, right now I've heard from the different dating companies that the users aren't upgrading and paying for memberships as much as they did in the past, prior to the outbreak. I think that's going to change pretty soon, that we kind of all are on the same page there. Like, I've talked to a few different companies, and everybody seems to think that, like, although the economy, worldwide is not fantastic yet, we're starting to see some recovery already. So hopefully we'll see, the deposits and the memberships coming through, so that these campaigns can last longer. But that's been my focus. I'm also running a lot of the carrier billing, like IVR, like Traffic Company, those types of campaigns through you guys' pops and redirects. And I want to try some sweeps, so we'll talk about that. But yeah, sweeps is definitely going to be my focus.
Sweeps is an evergreen vertical for sure. We've got a couple of first questions here, so maybe let's get to the first one before we move on with my further questions to our guests. So Swedish Chef is asking actually about it. It's a technical question regarding to the registration in Zeropark. So I'm going to nominate Neil here to answer that question. It's with regards to the VAT during the registration, and how to avoid paying big percentage fees because due to the VAT ID. It's about starting a campaign from the European Union as an affiliate, and the question is, should this person create a private corporation? Is that something that most media buyers do in Europe when buying from Zeropark?
Yeah, you need to have some kind of VAT ID, so we can write the tax off for you and not put that tax on the cost of the traffic. So it's important that you have some kind of VAT address registered, whether it's with a company or a partnership with someone, so we can write that tax off.
Okay. Hope that's clear enough. Also, like a reminder to everyone here that if you feel like maybe after some time, after following up with us, If you don't have an account management in Zeropark, we also have our customer care team available at support@zeropark.com. This is an email address. You can type any kinds of question to them. They're available throughout most of the day, and they respond really fast, even though it may seem like it's an email address, so it may take them slower, but no, this is our primary system for support, and it works pretty well. So yeah, if you have any questions after the webinar, there's always a way to ask them, so no worries. Okay, moving on, before we continue to another question, Neil, also a question for you. What would be your choice right now regarding the ad format? You know that we already know what kind of ad formats does Zeropark offer right now, and how much is the choice of the vertical, the offer dependent, the choice, sorry, of the ad format dependent on the vertical or the offer?
Well, yeah, I think like it's the same advice that's been around for years. Is like when you're starting out, you want cheaper traffic, so you start with POP and maybe some domain traffic to test, to try and get an idea of what the traffic is, how to optimize, how to get traffic from the platform. Obviously, the newer formats nowadays are much more interesting. So push notification is still very hot, has a lot of stuff going for it. And also other ad formats coming in, like there'll be in the future there'll be variations on like pushes, like we have in page push right now, and we're working towards other formats as well. I'd say for stability, if you wanted to come on right now and make some money and make sure that the campaigns have longevity, domain traffic is still probably the best bet. It's the thing we started out with, the thing we continue with. It's people typing misspellings and getting redirected to ad sites. So it's very simple to understand traffic. It's easy to optimize. The only thing is a little bit costly.
Mm-hmm. And for example, if you have a sweepstakes offer, that's like I said, that's the evergreen. Is there like a difference in terms of profit potential you can make depending on the ad format?
Yeah, in general, because obviously so Luke probably knows as well, the higher volume the users are, and the more subscriptions you get, usually the less value they have, because it means that they don't convert as well on the second or third page. They might convert on the first stage, but they might not convert later on to fill out the full sign up. So sometimes it's actually better value to go for a lower volume traffic source or something like that, and get higher qualified leads, and you get a higher payout. It'll take longer, but in the end, the campaign will last longer, and you won't annoy the marketer, the affiliate as well. So it's all about optimization.
Mm-hmm. Look, do you want to throw in a couple of cents from you? Like, what's your favorite choice for regarding the ad format for some of your campaigns?
So yeah, I'll agree that redirects are typically where I like to start. I've run redirects with you guys since you launched, I think. Like I've been running those forever. Actually, when we talked about doing this, I started thinking about like when I first started running Zeropark, and I think the first campaign I ran was like a mobile Android APK download way back in the day. It was like an antivirus, and I think I ran all that with redirects and it did really well. But anyway, I like to start a campaign with redirects. If it looks like it's going to perform with redirects, I will duplicate it with pops. And then typically I'll do the same thing. If it's going to work with pops, I'll try it with push, because with push, I usually see a higher conversion rate. So if it's going to perform with pops, it's definitely going to perform with push, is kind of my mindset. That's what I've done for the past probably year or two. And that strategy seems to be working well. There are campaigns though that I'll see even on Zeropark where I'll test it with pops, and that type of landing page won't work with push. So you kind of have to modify your landing page to kind of fit the ad format. But yeah, no, I would recommend, if anybody's getting started with Zeropark, I typically tell them, hey, you should try redirects. Like you're gonna pay a little bit more per click, but the conversion rate's gonna be better. You guys have a ton of good sources for redirects, so that's usually what I'll tell people. If they start with pops, a lot of times people get discouraged because they'll see like 10,000 clicks and no conversions, and they're like, what the hell is going on? Well, it's pop traffic, so you have to have the right offer.
Yeah, just to expand on what Luke said, the thing about having a different lander for push to pop, I think that's more to do with like the user journey, because obviously the user journey is entirely different. When you get a pop, you see the landing page straight away, so you can use something quite shocking, because something that's going to like grab attention. With push, you kind of have an incentivized user coming through that has a different flow on the phone, so you kind of have to think in terms of that. If you were clicking through on an advert on your phone, what would you expect to see? You know?
Yeah, the ad creative on push, you can pre-qualify people. So like that's definitely what you have to think about. Like there's affiliates make a lot of mistakes in the aspect that they just assume they're going to get conversions. Like no, you have to actually set the user up to convert.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. Okay, let's answer another question asked live, and this one is an interesting one, although it's quite broad, I would say. So Anonymous is asking, I run a job board. My campaigns are live, the traffic is fine, and the volume is there, but users register in less than 1%. So the conversion rate is pretty much low here. How can I increase the registrations? And this 1% has been there for over a year already. So Neil, how would you answer that? What will be like the broad tactics for the optimization and getting the most out of such campaign?
So this is like a good continuation of the previous subject we were just talking about, user journey. So like you got to think about where your user is coming from and what they're seeing. So you're landing on a jobs board. I mean, what incentive do they have to convert? What's your CTA? So you have to think about when someone lands on that job board, are you giving them a clear kind of path to go through to become the conversion that you want? And the other thing is to obviously, as a traffic source ourselves, is to ask us what works, because we can obviously give you white lists and give you stuff that we know that when people are clicked. But yeah, firstly, I would say have a look at, think about what traffic you're buying, how the journey is for that user, and if you were on that path, what would incentivize you to convert? What would be the link?
Do you mind if I hop in here?
Sure.
That's fine.
Okay, so I was working with a job site for a couple years on PureFly, and we were running, I was running, not PureFly, I was running quite a few campaigns to the specific job site. And one thing that we did to increase registration was pop up the registration form. So this job site was set up, it was a job search. You searched, put in the information that for the job you're looking for, and it showed you the listings for the jobs, and then you click through to whatever the position was. Nowhere in that path did they ask the user to register. So I told them, I said, listen, like I'm getting paid per registration and this is not working. So why don't we pop up like a modal window when they type in their search information and say, hey, put in your email address, put in whatever information they needed to kind of, get that registration, qualify that user, and then we'll take them to the listings. And lo and behold, like all of a sudden we're getting a ton of registrations. So, I don't know what the situation is with this job board, but your funnel, your path that you have set up for the user, it's really important to keep in mind what your actual call to action is. Like, are you looking to show them job listings, or are you looking to get them to register? If you're looking to get them to register, you have to incentivize them to do that. And then you have to actually ask them to register.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be one thing, just to make sure you're actually asking your user what you want.
Yeah. So in that situation, you're using the job listings as the bribe, kind of the thing. So I sign up so you can see the job listings. And that's it. That motivates people.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and if you want, our support team to have an extra look at your campaign, they always have, plenty of tips. They probably saw a lot of similar situations, so they are fully equipped to help you out with optimization and getting out the most of this campaign for you. So feel free to reach out to us and we'll be able to help. Cool. Moving on, another question. This is coming from Sutriano Wu. Probably butchered it, but that's what I'm gonna do here. Luke, that's a question to you. How can you find good dating offers?
So there are plenty of networks that have good dating offers. The hardest thing that I found with finding good dating offers is finding good mainstream dating offers. Most push sources that I use don't want nudity on the landing page, right? And even if you're using your own landing page, a lot of them don't want you leading the user to a page with nudity, and it doesn't necessarily convert well either. You know, if you're running an adult dating campaign with a mainstream pre-sell, so that's the biggest hurdle. I use quite a few networks, so my recommendation would be to just kind of sign up for a spy tool. I use Anstrex and Adplexity, and see what offers or dating offers people are promoting the most on push networks, and then kind of backtrack and find the networks with those offers. So ClickDealer has a ton of them. Actually, ClickDealer was like one of the main networks that I go to do my research, because they just have a ton of all offers. I also used AdCombo. If you want to look for specific dating networks, so not a general affiliate network, but a network that actually just focuses on dating, try like Traffic Partner. There's plenty of them out there. So it's really just a matter of researching and how you're going to do that. Like I said, I like to use the spy tools and kind of backtrack. But if you're signed up to any of the networks, you can reach out to your AM and they'll give you a list of their top dating offers. Like, everybody's willing to do that because they want your traffic. So that's the strategy I would use. We have a ton of threads on affLIFT about how to find offers. This is something that comes up constantly and affiliates kind of struggle with, but it's just a matter of doing it. You know, once you've done your research, it's easy to replicate.
Cool. That's a really great answer. All right, we have still a few more questions to answer, so keep them coming. But now, yeah.
But just add to that, as well, with the, remember that we're with the account managers on Zeropark and support work with a lot of affiliates and stuff like that, and the networks. And sometimes we have networks reach out to us and ask, do you have any guys who want to run this? And then we usually talk to them and ask for a little bit of something for the advertisers. So if you reach out to us, as a chance that we might have some offers exclusive to Zeropark. So a couple of gambling offers. I know that you set some deals, Bart, with some places yourself.
Yes, it's actually, you're referring to a project that's gonna be launched in Zeropark in May. This is going to be very exciting to some people out there. It's connected with the offers. I'm not gonna say more to that, but it's also gonna feature some dating platforms. So what I'm gonna say is, adding to what Neil said, is also, apart from reaching out to us and asking if we have any good sources in terms of offers, apart from getting you something exclusive, we may also get you. We have some good relations with some of the networks, and we may also get you a payout bump as well. So it may be very profitable to go through us and run those offers with Zeropark traffic, because we're able to set you up something special for you.
That's awesome.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on maybe to the topic of the hour, so to say, the coronavirus, the COVID-19. Neil, a question to you. How has coronavirus affected some of the verticals? We know that sports betting is almost dead. If you discount the esports category, e-commerce has suffered, right? How has that changed the outlook of the hottest offers to promote in Zeropark, the hottest verticals?
So the first thing I'd say is that, like, what amused me was, like, affiliates are very creative. And I saw some of the guys listening to this call and the same thing, that a lot of people had face mask offers to start off with before the crackdown. So we had a lot of guys running the face mask stuff and stuff like that, but then that kind of went away. So we actually, because that was under e-commerce, we actually saw growth in e-commerce at the start of it. And then when the government's cracked down, everyone had to pull back, so it went away. E-commerce is pretty stable. It's not too bad. I mean, like that, the people are still shopping online and stuff like that. As you said, the sports betting is definitely affected because there's no sports. So what are you going to bet? that's a difficulty there. But I would say that people are spending more on real gambling. So casino gambling, stuff like that in Europe, because people are at home with nothing to do, so they're gambling money. We see a few more of those campaign signups, good offers from them. So I got a bit of a rundown on redirects and pop. We see ecom still going strong, sweeps and downloaders. So that's desktop downloaders. So toolbar extension stuff like that still pretty strong. On push, we see sweeps, finance, gambling, AV and dating, but no masks. I'm sorry, you can't do masks.
Yeah. The government is after us if we do that.
Yeah, we'll go to jail if you do masks.
Exactly. And look, how has COVID impacted yours affiliate marketing activity, and what would be your tip for people who used to run verticals that are now most heavily affected?
So I've answered this a few times on different blogs and stuff, and everybody like ran to me once this all started to happen to see like what my opinion of what was going to happen would be. And based on prior experience, obviously never like an outbreak like this, but based on my prior experience in the industry with downturns and different things happening that have, you know, caused the economy to start to not perform as well. Whenever that happens, it seems like the affiliate industry does well. And I think that's because there's a little less competition from the mainstream, like big brands. I'm sure you guys are probably actually seeing an increase, because I read that, like, Google's decreasing spending. There's companies that are decreasing their spending with Google. So I would assume that a lot of affiliates and a lot of those companies maybe are spending a little bit more on non-traditional sources. But so anyway, I think in general, like, our industry is going to be just fine from this. And I think we're seeing it already. Like we're seeing, certain verticals aren't doing as well as they did. You guys talked about sports gambling, but like travel is not doing well. But there are other verticals that are doing well. I've mentioned dating. Like, I think online dating is going to continue to do well. Maybe not on the back end with the paid memberships. That will have to take time to get better. But people are they're not getting on Tinder, right? Like, they aren't getting on Tinder and meeting up. So online dating, like traditional, like Plenty of Fish type dating, is probably going to continue to do well. So my recommendation, if you are, traditionally run a vertical that is not doing well now, is to test new verticals. Like, as an affiliate, I think it's important that you're always doing new tests, right? I wasn't running a ton of dating before all this happened, but now I'm spending a ton of money on dating campaigns. So I think it's just important to continue to keep testing and find what's going to work in the environment that you have in front of you. I think competition in general is probably down a little bit, because I think there's a lot of affiliates that are kind of on the fence. So that means prices are cheaper, right? So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on it. Just continue testing and finding new stuff. See what other people are doing, the research model we already talked about with the spy tools and stuff, and kind of take it from there.
That's a great answer again. Thanks, Luke. Now maybe let's answer one of the questions asked by our audience. So this one is about an even spread of the budget per day. So this person is apparently struggling. It's a question from Vikram. Today, my campaign spent close to $60 in 15 minutes, and how to make sure basically how to spread the spend evenly throughout the day. Neil, can you take that?
Yeah, this is something that we come across regularly on our platform as a problem. Unfortunately, we're real-time bidding. So because the traffic is all live and it's real users, we can only send you traffic when it's available. So if the traffic is available, the system's going to bid on it at that time. You can do things such as setting caps on sources, caps on targets to try and spread it out a bit. But obviously, the issue with doing things like that, it could affect, so you don't know, so you spend $5 on a target, and the $5.1 that you spend on target could have been the conversion, It could have been that last little bit, could have been the guy who converted. So it's always dangerous to put too stringent caps on things. You can also use day parting. You can set campaigns to run for an hour, but it's also a very ineffective way of doing it. So the only real way to control budget spend on Zeropark is with the bid. So adjusting the bid up and down to say to bid on more or less traffic. That's kind of the way you can deal with it. Probably not on run, but with a keyword campaign, that would definitely work. Or even a source campaign, that probably works. You're working on tighter numbers, but it's mainly a fault of our system, and it's something that all affiliates have to work with.
Luke, do you have your tricks? Sure, go ahead.
All right. I was waiting for my turn to chime in here. So I obviously don't know how all the back end stuff works on Zeropark. Like, I have my theories based on what I've done to kind of moderate and increase my campaigns. Setting a daily budget seems to help encourage the system to spend my money quicker, which is actually what I want. Like, so this person is asking how to spread the budget across the entire day. I prefer not to do that. So I prefer to spend the money as quickly as possible. And that's because then I know the true potential of the campaign. So when I start a new campaign, my goal is to spend my budget, analyze it, and then run it again, right? Like, let's say your budget is $50. Let's just use that as an example. Your first test, you want to spend maybe $10. So set your daily budget at $10, and Zeropark will run through that budget for you. And then you can see like how that performed. And then you can add another $10 to your daily budget and continue on, or your campaign budget. I always typically use the combo of the two. So my recommendation would be to split up. If your goal is to spend a certain amount of money in a day, would be to set your budget at like, a fifth of that, spend it, do a little bit of optimization, spend the next 10, so on and so forth. That's what I do. I typically will have like, batches, or I don't know the word that you would use for it. Batches seems to work okay. So like 5 batches of campaign, and then each time I run it, I would make a small change to try to improve the performance, to find where, hey, this is going to work well. Day parting, people think that day parting is like the end all be all, and I think it's because it requires the biggest budget. So you assume like, oh man, if I just knew that these hours perform best, then I'm going to be doing awesome. It's not typically the case. Yeah, there will be hours that perform better than others, but in a winning campaign, you're going to be running it a majority of the day. So to figure out what hours actually are going to perform best, you're going to need to spend, a significant amount of money each hour to know that. So that's something that you figure out over time. Day parting is one of the last things that I optimize for, to be honest. And that's always worked well for me. Like, just wait it out. You don't know what hours are going to perform best until you've spent a significant amount of money each hour. And to do that, you just have to spend. Obviously, on a losing campaign, that is not a good, it's not a good thing. But a losing campaign is not going to become a winning campaign, more than likely, because you day parted it. It's, it's going to improve your ROI, but it's not going to turn a loser into a winner in most cases, unless you run it at 2 a.m. every single day, and it's a mainstream offer that should be run at 10 a.m. Mm-hmm. But the traffic's going to tell you that. If you have no traffic at that time, then pause and run during a normal hour.
That's a good tip. All right, a few questions from Steve. The first one, for desktop push notifications, what kind of landing page works? Do advertorial types of landers work for desktop push? If yes, how many words would you suggest an advertorial push lander should be? Luke, do you have an answer for that?
Honestly, most of my push campaigns are mobile. I've run very few desktop push, and the main reason for that is that desktop push is kind of overrun, in my opinion, by the antivirus offers, which I've made a significant amount of money running antivirus offers on Zeropark. So don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna say you shouldn't do that. But for push specifically, I'm not in a position to compete right now with those guys. Like, I'm not really interested in it. So my push campaigns are pretty much all mobile. So no, I don't really have a good insight on this. Besides that, I would say the advertorial landers, they say that push performs with a good creative, push will perform pretty similar to native. So I would assume that a good advertorial will perform well with push, with desktop. But in general, like I said, it's from what I see, and I'm sure you guys can agree, like most of the desktop push is antivirus type offers.
Yeah, when we do see advertorial offers, it's usually crypto related. So it's the crypto or binary trading platforms, those kind of offers. And it's not usually US. I mean, the biggest ones recently have been Kazakhstan, Poland, actually. When for a while it was GCC only. So Saudi Arabia, Oman, Bahrain, and stuff like that. They were all very big. So to tell you the truth, because of the language of those languages, I can tell you how many lines it has because I don't speak any of those languages. So. But yeah, it's they're usually full page articles with a submit at the bottom, pretty standard. You still have to scroll down.
Steve, if you take a look at any of the spy tools, you'll see exactly what he just said. You'll be able to look at all those landing pages that people are using. Italy was huge for a little while. Like it seemed like that's all I was seeing on like Anstrex was the Italy cryptocurrency offers.
Cool. Moving on, another question from Steve, still regarding landing pages, but this time for domain redirect traffic. We don't have the vertical specified in this question, so it's quite broad, but what kinds of landing pages typically work for domain redirects? Neil, you want to take it up?
I think I'd go back to actually what Luke said earlier about how the first question I think kind of answered that, which when we were talking about the job page, when Luke was talking about the idea of having that pop up there, it's having that incentive for the user because you got to remember they're redirected from nowhere, so they're landing on the page fast. They have to know what you want them to do and quickly, and what the flow is and what the reward is. So like from the job site, the reward is getting the listings. So what do I need to do to get those listings? I need to submit my email. And I think that's the same for most campaigns. When a user cannot be redirected to a page and be confused. They must be very simple and clear about what they want. This is like the opposite of an advertorial, you know? Minimal text, clear message, stuff like that. Look here, do this. I mean, that's if you're going to run any vertical, usually that's the case. Big pictures, but also something that doesn't distract. Because if you've got distracting images as well, people will just like look at that and not click anything.
Luke, you want to chime in?
Sure. So with the redirects, I mean, a good example I would say is sweeps. And if you look at what people are running on redirects in the sweep space, it's all the spinner, the landing page with the spinner. And the reason is because it's getting the user engaged with your landing page, right? Like they didn't intentionally go to your landing page. They were redirected there when they were trying to go somewhere else. So if you're going to keep them there, you have to have something on that landing page to draw them in. And yeah, if it's a ton of text with an advertorial, it's not going to work because they're not going to skim it and they're just going to look at it and be like, no, this is too much. So what a lot of affiliates are doing right now with the sweepstakes and what they've been doing for a long time is the spinner. So it says like, click here to spin. This wheel spins and then it tells them what prize they're going to qualify for. That works because it's simple and it's engaging. So they see that and they're like, oh, okay, click. So yeah, I think with redirects, if you're running a RON campaign, especially if you're not using some sort of keyword, you're going to want to have something that's engaging, similar to pops, but maybe not quite as aggressive as you have to be with pops.
That's right. The final question, at least as of now, from Steve. Keep those questions coming again. So Steve is asking for sources. How many clicks should I have with no conversions before I decide to turn off that given source? Neil, you want to take that?
Well, it really depends on your payout, how much you're making from it, because you should really take it to the limit of because obviously in our system we have the two sub IDs. You have the source sub ID and the target sub ID. The source is like what the group of traffic where it's coming from, and the target is usually the individual URLs. On push, it's some subscription sites. So it's always good to take a source to the limit to check there's not some gems in there. So take it right to the edge of where it becomes unprofitable. And as soon as that, if it just starts to become very unprofitable, then pause it. I mean, that's what you got to watch out for. Is you got to think about it like, if this does become profitable now, at the end of the day, would I recover? Would I get close to break even at all? And if the answer is no, then probably you should pause that source.
Luke, you have your own strategy for that?
So with sources and targets on Zeropark, I've always tried to have like a specific number in mind before I start the campaign so that I don't chase a loser. A lot of times you'll start a new campaign, you'll be all excited, like, man, this thing, I'm gonna make a pile of money off of this. And then, you know, it starts out and it's not converting and you're thinking, it's all right, there must be something, you know, there's a reason this is happening. So you just keep spending. And then all of a sudden, you know, you spent $300 on a campaign with a $10 payout, you know, so you've lost out. My recommendation, and what I typically tell people, and I've been telling them this for years and years, for sources, I spend 3 to 5 times the payout per source, assuming that I think this campaign is a winner and I'm starting to see some results. Because you're going to have a lot of sources. I mean, for the most part, in pretty much any targeting or in any geo, Zeropark has a ton of traffic. So you're going to have, you know, a list of a pile of sources. So I'll set my limit. Let's say it's a $10 payout. I'll set my limit at like $30 per source to see if I get a conversion from that source. And then I go a level deeper. So like was mentioned, you got your sources and then there's a bunch of targets within that source. At the target level, I typically spend 1 to 2 times the payout. And there are a lot of people that would tell you to spend more than that, but I think that's a fine number. If it doesn't convert within 1 to 1.5 times the payout, it's probably not going to convert and be profitable unless you make other changes to your campaign that are going to make it profitable. For example, let's say you notice that the Chrome browser is not converting, but Edge is. Well, then you need to try to retest some of those targets and sources because maybe all of your spend was going towards Chrome. So my recommendation is spend 3 to 5x the payout for each source, and then 1 to 2x the payout for each target. Break down your results though. I mean, to analyze your results, if you're running a campaign and you see that on a specific source, there was one target that spent, you know, 90% of your budget of your 3 to 5x, then you need to pause that target and do a little bit more testing because you haven't given the other targets even an ample amount of clicks to convert. So that's kind of my strategy. Everybody kind of has their own. I love, one of my favorite things about Zeropark, and this has been a feature that I've loved for a long time, is the rules-based optimization. A lot of other traffic sources are starting to copy this, but I think you guys were the first. In Zeropark, you can set it so that it automatically will pause a particular source or a particular target based on preset rules. So you don't even have to keep that close of an eye on it. You kind of let it run and then come back and analyze. So yeah, that's kind of how I approach sources and targets.
That's a good strategy. So you have pretty much a ready template, Steve, for your next campaign, and hopefully this helps. And like Luke said, rule-based optimization, or RBO as we call it, is definitely a tool that can be really helpful. It comes with some predefined rules as well that you can use. So that's really useful for the initial steps of the optimization. So definitely, like Luke said, take advantage of this tool. Okay.
You have to set up your postback though, because if you don't have your postback, you don't get that. Yeah, so you have to
be tracking.
Because if we don't know how much you're paying for each conversion, if you haven't got a CPA in that system, we can't help you out. So the RBO only works out if we get the conversion data back.
That's true. Neil, I have a question for you, and that's at the same time pretty much a piece of news for everyone here, because what we've been doing for the past couple of months, I guess now, is a major cleanup of the push inventory in Zeropark. So we've decided to cut down a lot of volumes of traffic in Zeropark with hopes of bringing up the quality. So can you, Neil, walk us through the process? What's changed in Zeropark in terms of push traffic? What kind of impact did it really have on the volumes and on the quality?
Yeah, so we started looking at a couple of things. So, well, firstly, let me say that we took some of our most experienced account managers and we actually started a new team just solely to deal with this. So we took one guy from the advertiser team, one guy from the publisher team, guys who already had good analytical backgrounds, and we put them in together with a data scientist. And basically what they ended up doing was they ended up analyzing all our traffic over a 6-month period, basically. And what they were looking for was notifications of traffic quality. So it's how many times our source sent us a visit, if the visit was duplicated, if we saw that visit coming from another source, if this could, they found another thing that identified push sources within push sources, so they could see basically, I can't give you an accurate description because I'll make a big mess of it, because it's very technical, but they basically could see whether someone was trying to send us the same, like, because you know what happened with pop traffic a while ago, the same thing. Sometimes some of the notifications go around a couple of times, and what we tried to do is we tried to prevent sources that do that. So we were looking for high quality original sources of traffic. And once they did it in 3 or 4 stages. First stage was the stuff that just came out with a really low score to start off with. They just cut it straight away. Then they went up through and they asked some of the sources, they gave them a second chance. They said, okay, cut this stuff. We know it's bad. If you can cut this out and we can keep this side, you can keep running. But some of them didn't, some of them went. And basically now we know that there's much less volume on push, but the click-through is much better, and the user engagement from the click-through is much better as well. That plus account management whitelisting means that you're getting much better experience as an affiliate, I think.
And is the process done by now, or is it still some finishing touches?
Well, we met with the business analytics team again today, and what they said is they want to do this every 3 months. So they want to go back every 3 months and check that no one's trying to slip anything under the net. They're also going to start extending that idea. They're going to try and clean pop as well, I think, next, because pop's been going downhill for a while. So they're going to try and do the same thing for pop, but it's much more difficult, I think, because it's a much broader spectrum. But yeah, they're not going to let it rest. They're going to come back every 3 months, look at the data, and see if anyone's again, put it through the same test and see if the traffic quality is still there. And now when they bring on new sources will be automatically put through this testing, so there won't be a chance of someone just changing the name of the company and coming back with another weird source of traffic.
Cool. So yeah, well, all in all, you'd say that the quality has gone significantly up on push. So if any of you here ran push before in Zeropark and maybe you didn't have enough conversion rate that was satisfying to you, I think it's a good time to come back now and try again, because like Neil said, we will be cleaning this traffic and getting rid of some volumes. And Zeropark, I think, you can confirm that it's known for pretty much mostly for the volumes of traffic, that the large inventory that we have. So we're trying to maybe not lose this tag, because I think that's also good to have large volumes, but also, you know, to be named as the really quality traffic source. So that's our direction here with this cleanup. Okay, moving on to your questions. We have still quite a bit of them to answer. So the next one is coming from Anonymous, and this one is about a quick cover of volume and volume DSP. How do they work? How do they help fish out good traffic suppliers and bad suppliers? So first of all, let me take that at least initially. So volume is a tracker. It's a tracking tool. So this is the one that you want to have for the measuring campaign performance and you know, seeing what kind of sources and targets work better than the others. Why volume DSP is it's a DSP like its name suggests, but it's a traffic source for native traffic. So this is a platform for buying native placements. They have lots of sources of traffic. Also, those known like Taboola and Outbrain are there as well, but So it's a big aggregator of native traffic with some unique sources as well. So if you're into native, then Volume DSP is definitely a good platform for you. But let's focus this on the tracking side, the Volume TRK, as we call it internally, or just Volume, as everybody knows that. Neil, how can Volume be helpful if you're already advertising on Zeropark?
Mainly integration. So we obviously Volume being our proprietary tracking software means that we are fully integrated with it. It means it's really quick setup with Zeropark. The templates are all there. You only need to, there's only a few custom parameters you have to add if you want to track other things. It just means a much quicker setup, and all our data aligns as well. So you won't get much or if any click loss between the platforms. Zeropark goes for the same functionality as all the other traffic in there. So we are also going through the traffic fraud detection kit on Volume as well. So you can also check our traffic quality. And the other thing is that it's in affiliate marketing, everything is time. With Zeropark and Volume integration, some of the data that you would normally be sent through a white page when you get the redirect, it's actually sent in the background. So Zeropark sends data directly to Volume, so it speeds up the loading time of landing pages. So it gives you that millisecond or hair's breadth of extra quick loading time.
That's the integration part. Luke, moving to you, can you just briefly talk about the benefits of just tracking in general? Why is it profitable? What's the extra benefit of having a tracker connected to your traffic source?
Sure. So I've always said that if you're going to run Zeropark traffic, you might as well get Volume for it. I personally use Volume as my main tracker. I've tested every single tracker. I have accounts on every tracker, and I always use Volume, and especially with Zeropark because of the integrations that were already discussed. As far as tracking goes, I mean, I think it's probably one of the most important things. It's something that we really preach and push for on affLIFT, is getting every member to set up a tracker. You know, Volume's great. There are other options out there, you know, but specifically, I typically recommend Volume. The reason that you need a tracker is simple. There are a lot of variables in every single click. So every single visitor on your link, there are tons and tons of different variables associated with that visitor. So once you've sent, 10,000 visitors to your offer, how can you determine who's actually converting if you don't know the data behind every single conversion and every single visitor? So that's why you want to use a tracker. You absolutely, I mean, if you're running an affiliate campaign without a tracker, which we see a lot of newbies join affLIFT and start a campaign and post about it, and we'll be like, oh, what tracker are you using? They're like, well, I'm not using a tracker. I'm like, okay, well, you just wasted whatever money you spent on that campaign, and let's get you set up with the tracker and get things going again. And like I said, I mean, that's mainly because all that data, when you're paying money to run an affiliate campaign, you're buying that data. Like that's what you're buying. The byproduct is hopefully a profitable affiliate campaign where you're able to arbitrage that traffic and make money on it. But you're paying for the data, and you need a tracker to be able to collect all that data and be able to help you analyze it. So yeah, if you aren't using a tracker, definitely check out Volume and do a little research and see, like, hey, this is very important. Like you need to do this.
Yeah, I think that covers it pretty well.
I have a question real quick. Sure. Interrupting. The Zeropark events are still free in Volume, right?
Yes, correct.
So there's another reason, like I said, you should definitely use Volume if you're using Zeropark. When you are tracking Zeropark campaigns within Volume, you aren't charged for those events. So just another reason to do that.
Yeah, that's a great point, Luke. Okay, well, lots of questions about dating. I guess everyone wants to want to follow what Luke has been doing. And Michael is asking, Luke, do you concentrate dating in the US or in other countries?
Yeah, it's crazy when you post a case study showing how you generated like a 60% ROI, how all of a sudden everybody wants to run dating. So yeah, I do focus mainly on English speaking countries, but that's primarily because I'm a native English speaker. It's just easier and quicker for me to set up campaigns. For dating though, I mean, I was running in Spain, I was running in Germany. I mean, I run everywhere. It's just then I got to find somebody to do the translations for me. So I do typically focus on English speaking, not necessarily all the US though. There are plenty of other countries. And I don't know if I mentioned it on affLIFT, but I'll do it here for the people that are participating. Right now, I am in love with South Africa. So that's the only tip I'm going to give you. But yeah, if you're running dating, I run US and English speaking geos, but you should test everywhere. I mean, especially if you're a native speaker in another language, in another country, in another language, like use that to your advantage. I don't run in a lot of tier 3 countries because I don't, you know, Google Translate makes it tough. I can hire somebody, but that takes time. You have an advantage if you can write compelling copy in a native language or in another language that there's good offers for. So yes, I run US, but you guys should run whatever you're comfortable with. Test everything.
I would say that like from the platform, the one of the countries we see really big is Germany. Actually, Germany is quite good for dating. France, and then maybe Italy. I mean, those are the 3 European ones I can think of that if you can write good copy, you'll do well in.
Yeah. Also a side question here from Michael. That's a question to Luke. That's a question from the chat. I'm a newbie and struggling, and Michael would like Luke to have a look at the campaigns and see if Luke you can help this person. So what's the best way to reach out to you and contact you?
Okay, awesome. Well, I didn't know about the chat. I just opened it. I'm a first-time Zoomer. So yeah, the mentorship. So I don't offer one-on-one mentoring or coaching specifically because it just wouldn't make sense for me to do that. Instead, I have affLIFT. These guys talked about a little bit. affLIFT is my affiliate marketing forum. It's a premium community. I created it so that I can help provide support to a mass amount of affiliates as efficiently as possible. So what I would recommend you do is go on affLIFT and create a follow along. We're about to start a contest with Zeropark. We'll talk about that in a little bit probably. But the whole goal of this contest and the whole goal of what I do on affLIFT is to be able to encourage affiliates to actually take action and then help them along the way. So create what we call follow along on affLIFT. It's just basically a thread where you explain, this is the campaign I'm running. Here's, you know, whatever you're comfortable sharing. Here's a screenshot of my initial results. You know, what can I do to improve? Or I can't figure out how to set up tracking. Like, can you guys help me? And that's what we do. That's what we do within the community. That's our goal, is to provide everybody with help. It's a super friendly community. Zeropark's a part of it. We were just talking about volume. Volume's a part of it. So yeah, that's what I would recommend. I mean, you're more than welcome to email me. It's luke@afflift.com. Be happy to you know try to help. But yeah, feel free to just to post a follow along or reach out, and we're happy to help.
Yeah, and if you don't have an account on affLIFT yet, I think the Zeropark discount code, Zeropark is still active. So if you put that down in the registration, I mean, the rates for affLIFT are already pretty attractive, especially as for the value that brings you. But if you want it just a little bit cheaper, then the code Zeropark gets you a little bit of a discount, right? Right.
Yeah, I don't want to sell it too hard, but the whole I built affLIFT because I felt like there wasn't a good community where you could go and get premium information at like an affordable price. A lot of the gurus and the premium forums are just too expensive for most people, and it didn't make sense to me. So yeah, affLIFT's $20 a month for membership. You can get a discount if you go through Zeropark or message me, and I'll happily give you a discount. Like, my goal is to be able to, for affLIFT, is to make it affordable for everyone, and I can do that. We're going to be 2 years old here tomorrow. The forum will be 2 years old, and you know, we've got almost 34,000 members now. Like, it's grown significantly, and it's because everybody can technically afford it.
Just as what Luke said, I'd say that like this is a rare case, one rare industry where if the affiliates make money, we make money. So it's kind of the thing. It's about all working together. So we are never working against you. We always want you to do well, because if you do well, we do well. We grow. Everyone grows together in the community, which is it's a very rare situation, I think, in that industry.
Yeah, our industry is definitely. I mean, that's one of the things. I worked at Purefly for 10 years, and the goal is always in our industry to create like win-win-win situations. Like everybody should be able to make money. You know, it shouldn't just be one person, because if one person's making money, then nobody is, because it's not going to last very long. So yeah, we, you know, as an industry, I think that does make us unique. Like everybody should be able to make money if we're all successful.
That's right. Let's move to another question from Shaika. What is minimum ROI you expect after testing period to continue promoting a campaign? Any of you guys want to take this?
Sorry, look here. I'll just say that from why you want to be breaking even, really, to start off with. Because you want to be able to afford to put more money into the campaign. So you want to be able to think that, okay, I broke even now, so I can optimize this and build on it. That would be my point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. The typical ROI I see, honestly, is probably around minus 30% if during the first initial testing phase, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, there's so many people who will post on affLIFT like a screenshot of their campaign, and it's, you know, minus 40% or something, and they just spent maybe, you know, $10, $20, and they're bummed out about it. I'm like, listen, you haven't even analyzed your results. You probably have so many green segments in your traffic that you don't even know about. So yeah, break even is awesome. If I'm break even, I am happy. Like, that's the initial testing phase. So my first run, my first batch, whatever you want to call it. If I'm ROI positive or break even, oh yeah, I'm running with that. If I'm negative a little bit, that's no problem, because I know that, for example, we were just talking about sources and targets. It's likely that I have maybe, you know, 2 profitable sources and 5 negative sources. And within those sources, there's probably, you know, 100 positive targets. So yeah, you don't be too discouraged if you're negative on after your first initial test. Your goal should be to like continue to scale and optimize as you grow. So your campaign is it's not a one-time thing. You're not going to run, you know, $100 worth of traffic and be like, oh, I'm going to be rich off of this. More than likely, you're going to have to continue to optimize, make changes as you go. And yeah, the best start you can have is probably break even or a little negative, because that means, man, there's a lot of potential here.
Another question from Swedish Chef. For push campaigns, what is most important, image or headline? I think this is the most commonly asked questions regarding push.
So I would say that with that kind of stuff, it's really about keeping, because obviously you get 4 or 5. We allow up to 10 pushes per campaign, but from what I see, the most successful campaigns tend to have around 4 or 5. And what it really is about, sometimes you can use the same image and sometimes you can use the same text, but it's making, once you find a good formula for it, it's about making small changes to keep people interested. So, because people see the same push a lot, so you changing the wording around, changing the way it looks, we even found stuff out, things like spelling mistakes help, making the text seem more naturalistic. People like emojis. We were surprised once to find out that the poop emoji works pretty well. Don't know why, but it was, people were converting on the poop emoji. But it depends really on what you're promoting. Obviously, some of the sites are going to need more official looking logos because the product at the end is official, and some of the sites are going to need something more personal because the product at the end is personal. So for example, dating is usually more of a personal kind of offer. So the spelling mistakes, the image there is very important. And the other way around, for something where you're selling like an official product, has to be very clear what it is. So,
Luke, do you have like the answer for this question, the best answer possible?
No, my answer is just to, I mean, they're both important. I mean, you can't have one without the other. So yeah, just test and duplicate different headlines, and then duplicate your images and find like the right combination. I was running a campaign for like 3 weeks that was doing really well. ROI, like pretty good results. And my AirPods just died. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. So I was running a campaign for like 3 weeks, same ad copy, started testing different images and different headlines based on like, you know, what I thought was the reason that it was converting well. And yeah, all of a sudden, you know, it's improving, you know, it's doing even better. And I could have been lazy and just left it alone, but I think it's important that you just keep testing, because there isn't one particular part of your campaign, I think, that is going to be like, oh, this is the most important thing, I shouldn't touch anything else. It's just a combination of everything. And so, yeah, I would say, you know, make multiple copies of each image and each headline, and kind of mix them up and constantly be testing different stuff, because you don't know what is going to be best until you actually see the end result.
Like poop emojis.
And poop emojis, yeah. No, I agree 100% on emojis. Definitely include emojis.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that before Luke mentioned the contest that's coming up for the affLIFT community, I think that's a good moment to have a minute to discuss it just a little bit more. I think, Luke, we can go ahead with the announcement right here, because it actually hasn't been announced. It's going to be the biggest contest so far on affLIFT, and it's going to be regarding the follow-alongs that you create. So we will split $1.5K to all the participants. So every one of you who is committed to a follow-along will get a share of that. And then we'll have $1,000 to the winner selected by Zeropark team and Luke himself. And then $500 to the winner selected by the community. So in terms of prizes and awards, this is the biggest one yet. Am I right, Luke?
Yeah, no, it is. It's the biggest contest that we've ever done by more than $1,000. So I think it's going to be awesome. We talked about this at Affiliate Summit, and ever since then I've been like, okay, this is exactly what we need, because the community is doing great. I mean, affLIFT has been insane, but one of the reasons that it's been so successful is because we have companies like Zeropark in the community actually helping the members, right? Like, I went to Affiliate Summit and I met with all of these different companies, and I have contacts with all these different representatives now, and it costs me quite a bit of money to do that. You can get the exact same result as I got going to Affiliate Summit just by joining affLIFT, because all of those reps are in the community now. Like, you can message Zeropark, you can post on the forum and ask a question to Zeropark, and they reply within 5 minutes. So yeah, the reason that the community is doing so well is because we have this engagement with not only the affiliates, but the companies within the community. So Zeropark going out and deciding that, hey, we're gonna beat everybody else and just have the best contest ever. I mean, I'm totally, obviously, super pumped about that. Another reason that I'm very excited about that is because I'm hoping that, you know, the people that are listening to me right now, and the people that hear the recording, and the people that are on the community that hear about the contest through the thread, I'm hoping this is the encouragement that you need to take the next step. So what I found over my past 15 years of doing affiliate marketing and being in a position where I'm trying to help people do affiliate marketing is that everyone is excited. Everyone is super pumped to do research. But once it gets to the point where it's like, hey, okay, you read 1,000 threads about this, you've read 14 ebooks, you've asked me 10,000 questions, I need you to go ahead and deposit $200 and run a campaign. A lot of people are just like, I don't know. They spend all the time learning how to do this and don't take action, right? So we use these contests, the follow-alongs, as an incentive to you as a participant to actually take action. Like, you're going to get a prize, right? Like, there's a participation trophy. So you have nothing to lose. Set up your campaign, take action, and see how it goes. Like, not everyone is going to have a profitable campaign. I'm sorry to say it. Like,
some of you are going to set up a campaign and you're going to lose, you know, $200. Hopefully not all 200, but you know, you're going to lose some money. That's going to happen to some people, but the best way to learn and the best way to become successful at affiliate marketing, and there's not a single person that would argue with me on this, is to actually take action, run your campaign, and learn as you go. There's no amount. I mean, there are 40,000 posts on affLIFT. There's not a single one that is going to teach you how to be profitable. It doesn't exist. If I knew the secret recipe to running a successful campaign every single time, I would not be on this call right now. So it's a process. It's a strategy. You learn as you go, and that's how you become successful at this. Like, I've been doing it for 15 years now. Like, the reason that I am able to run a profitable campaign every once in a while is because I've run a lot of campaigns that weren't profitable, and I learned as I went. So the contest, the whole point is to encourage you to take action. And I'm so happy that Zeropark has stepped up and like offered huge prizes, so that it really hopefully is if the prizes before weren't enough to encourage you, like hopefully now this is enough to be like, okay, I'm going to take action. I'm going to set up a campaign. Plus, wait a minute, I'm not done yet. Plus, not only are you able to take action and set up a campaign, but you're doing it on Zeropark. And if you know me and you've been following me for, you know, the past couple of years, you know that I'm a huge fan of Zeropark. Like, I'm not just saying that because these guys are sitting here with me. Like, I think they've had one of the best platforms since the beginning, and they've just continued to improve it. Their traffic's great, and blah blah blah. I'm not gonna, you know, let them get too big of heads here, but it's gonna be a good contest because it's a good company. Like, you're gonna be able to run some successful campaigns, and hopefully with the guidance of the community, we'll see a lot of profitable ones too.
Of course, as well, you can always reach out to our account managers. We'll have full support for the contest as well. So the email that Bart mentioned, support Zeropark, is always on call as well. So if there's anything that's not answered in the forum or needs a more accurate answer or is a bit more personal, you can email us and we'll answer.
Yep. Yeah, we're really looking forward to the contest starting May 1st. So it's really soon. Question from Sutrano to Luke. That's who I'm going to redirect this question to. If you found a profitable offer, how long does it take to milk the offer? Because it's quite difficult to find a profitable offer, but once we found it, how long does it take to milk it? And my favorite part of this question is, like, everybody can preach that. We want to get much money from it.
Yeah, it varies. That's probably the best answer. So on Zeropark, a few years ago, I ran a campaign for, it's like 9 months to a year. It was more than 9 months. It might have been a little less than a year. It was one offer, and it was profitable the entire time. So obviously I milked that thing pretty good. But it does. It really varies. I just was talking about the push campaign, the dating push campaign that I got shut down on. That was profitable. Everything looked good on that, and I got paused on it. So I would still be running that, you know, a year from now if it would have been good enough results for the actual advertiser, the person that owned the offer. But it wasn't. The good news is there's a lot that you can learn from any campaign. So this question is asking about a specific offer, but I'll go to the next level and say, really what you should be focused on is finding a good campaign for a certain vertical. Obviously, you know, it has to be a somewhat similar offer if it's going to be the exact same results that you had on a previous campaign. But let's say, for example, the dating offer that I was running with Push, and I got paused on. Well, I could run that same campaign with another dating offer as long as it was a similar type of campaign setup, right? Like, the payout would have to be somewhat similar. The conversion rate would have to be somewhat similar. But if those things are true, then I could take that offer, plug it into this campaign that I'm already running, and continue to milk it. So it varies. How long you're going to be able to run a profitable campaign will really just depend on how well that campaign is being managed by the people that are outside of the situation. Being like, you know, Zeropark has control over the traffic quality. You have control over your landing page. The people that own the offer are the only ones that have control over, you know, how well that lead is backing out. because it's their job. We were just talking about the job board website. If the lead's not backing out because they're looking for registrations, but they don't actually ask the person to register, then that's not your fault, right? Like, you did everything in your power. You were trying to generate the leads and quality traffic, but it just, there's nothing you can do there. So the short answer is that it varies. It will definitely depend on the specific offer and the campaign you have set up. But I think a lot of people think that affiliate marketing is so very short term. It's not. I mean, you can run a campaign for a very long time and maintain profitability on any traffic source, on any offer. It's just depends on the specific campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, one quick pro tip.
Yep.
One quick pro tip. If you go as closely to direct as possible with the offer, the more likely you're going to be able to run that campaign for a longer time. So what I mean is, if you're getting the offer from an affiliate network, that's great, but there might be other affiliates running that offer who are sending fraud, and then that offer gets pulled from the affiliate network, and you had nothing to do with that, right? We saw this with PureFly pretty consistently. It was always super discouraging. It was one of the reasons that affiliate networks are so strict on approval. So if you can go direct to the person that owns that offer and say, hey, I want to run this through you directly, then they'll know, okay, this traffic quality is from this person. There's nobody else that's possibly screwing that up for you. And, you have a more direct relationship. You're probably going to be able to run it longer.
Mm-hmm. A connected question to this from Matt. What affiliate network is best to start for total beginners?
So it's for me. So in my beginner guide on affLIFT, I specifically push people to Mobipium. I don't know. It's Mobipium.
Mobipium, yeah.
Okay. So they're a great network. There are plenty of good affiliate networks for beginners. What I would recommend you do is on affLIFT, we have a directory. So the directory is filled with every resource that you're going to need as an affiliate. And we have a specific section that's broken, has the affiliate networks broken down. And so if you go to that and you click on affiliate networks, it's going to give you a list. I think we're at like 20 affiliate networks right now in that list. And we have information about the affiliate network. We have reviews, we have ratings, we have everything that you're going to need right there. So that's what I would recommend you check out. I'm not going to recommend a specific network because everybody's situation is different. Depending on what you put on your application, you might get denied no matter how good of an affiliate you are. So yeah, just do your research. And this is something that would be a good topic for affLIFT if you wanted to ask, like, hey, what affiliate network are you newbies getting approved into? That would probably be the best way to answer it. But if you just apply to a bunch of networks and some of them deny you, whatever, it's nothing wrong with that. Just apply and you'll get approved some places for sure.
Yeah, there are a couple of places we could help you out as Zeropark. As I mentioned before, we have developed over time some great relationships with some of the networks. So just to name a few, not everyone, but just to name a few, like ClickDealer, that has already been mentioned in this AMA, Mobidia, Mobipium, like Luke said, AdVidi as well. These are all the networks. These are the examples of networks we could help you settle in with, because we have some direct contacts with. So if you have any trouble in those networks, then just also let us know, and we may be able to help you out there as well. Yeah, so the next question from Antoine, if I'm saying that's pronouncing that correctly. Does adult dating adult dating offers perform well on push traffic, single opt-in, and come offers? Neil, can you take that? It seems like you have all Zeropark beside you, so.
Yeah, so again, I would say Germany. For that kind of offer, we see the best kind of adult dating really works well there. I think that it can definitely, we had some guys scale to at least 1 or 2K a day on it at one point, but again, it's about, like Luke says, about sustainability of those offers. Yeah, they can work with it. I'm not sure about the scale. If you want to write in and get white lists, you can ask us. We'll try and provide you with some information.
Yeah. Send your request over to support at Zeropark.com, and they can get you a whitelist for such offers setup. No problem. Anonymous is asking.
Interrupt?
Yeah, go ahead.
I definitely recommend you try those campaigns with redirects and pops. You guys have your adult traffic segmented there, and I've run a lot of those campaigns over the years and had pretty good success.
So Anonymous is asking a question that we've already talked about a little bit. So does ZP traffic count toward volumes event limit or not? So like we said, it doesn't count toward that limit. So you won't have any overages for Zeropark traffic with volume. You can track unlimited number of events from Zeropark with volume and not pay besides what you're paying for monthly or the yearly subscription. So yes, it absolutely does not count toward that event limit in volume. Okay, moving on to Swedish Chef. Should you bid minimum in campaign start, or is it better to bid higher? Yeah, that's a good question regarding the bidding strategy from the start. We sometimes recommend some bids, Neil, as you are well aware of. Is it better to bid up on those, or is it good to stick to these advised minimum bids that we sometimes recommend in our traffic calculator, or through AMs, through support, and sometimes directly in the platform?
It really depends how confident you are in the offer. If it's a good offer and you're just looking for large volumes of traffic, my usual recommendation is to take the average bid and add 50% to it, just to make sure you're closer to the win bid. Obviously, Zeropark shows you the win ratio as you're going along. So if any source on the average bid is starting to perform, you can bid up there to bring the win ratio up and get more traffic. And also bid down if something's not performing, so you can lower the bid or pause it. But yes, average bid is a good place to start.
Luke, you want to add into that?
Sure. On affLIFT, I actually posted my bidding strategy. I call it incremental bid. I don't know what the best official term is for it. I start at close to the minimum. Basically, my goal is to spend as little as possible at first to find the right bid. So I set my bid close to the minimum. I let it run, the campaign bid at close to the minimum, let it run, and then I increase my bid, my campaign bid, and set a manual bid on the sources once I've captured like 20 to 40 to 50% of the traffic. Each source is going to have its own bid, right? Like every single source is going to, the bids on that source are going to be different, because if it's converting well, there's probably people bidding higher on that source. So if you set a low minimum bid, campaign bid, and you never increase it, you're not going to get traffic from some of the sources. So what I do, like I said, is I'll start low and then steadily increment and increase the campaign bid, which Zeropark, I love the way that the bidding algorithm works. It takes whatever your bid is and increases it and decreases it, so that on each auction, each click auction, you're not necessarily stuck at the bid that you entered. Sometimes you'll bid higher, sometimes you'll bid lower, but it averages out to whatever you have your campaign bid set at. So and this is a long detailed answer, but I think this is the right way to do it. So that's what I do. I set the campaign bid, increase it incrementally, and then once I see that a source is getting, once I see I'm getting a good portion of the traffic for that source, I'll set a manual bid, which then makes it so that I'm not spending more than that amount for that source. And then I'll just keep increasing the campaign bid. And that makes it so you're not overspending necessarily on specific sources, and you're capturing the traffic at a good rate. And then I'll do the same thing for targets. So like I'll go in a target, and typically I'll optimize the target bid based on my EPV. So if I'm making 50 cents per click, and I'm only bidding 10 cents per click, then I maybe bump that up a little bit, try to get more of the traffic. So that's kind of my strategy. I increase it incrementally. It takes longer than just setting a high bid and letting it rock. But for most people, I think that's probably a strategy that they're gonna want to try out.
Mm-hmm. That's a good strategy. So yeah, we definitely recommend the same here. Naveen is asking, what traffic is best for adult offers? What kind of ad format would you go for? Both of you, and Luke and Neil, feel free to chime in here.
I think that Luke has already answered that well with the idea of starting off with redirect, because it's safe and it usually converts pretty well and is not too high a volume. Then moving on to pop, and then moving on to push, because it's just a way of feeling it. So if you want a traffic format that will get you, that's not too big so it won't burn you out straight away, but will get you some conversions, domain is the best place to start, especially for a newbie, to get that kind of the feeling of how to optimize traffic and stuff like that, and even for any campaign, not just adult.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next question from Anonymous. Do pop campaigns typically run longer than push campaigns without changing the ad or lander? If so, roughly how much longer do they run?
Yes, that's true. You have to do a lot more work with a push campaign, but the quality of user and quality of engagement is better. So it's mainly because you're relying on a creative, because you're going to run with a pop campaign, you are sending users via a pop to your landing page, but with a push, they have to click to see the lander. So it's mainly the user flow that makes push more complicated, but also makes it convert better.
Mm-hmm. Luke, you want to add into that?
Yeah, no, I agree. Typically the campaign longevity is going to be a little bit longer with pop and redirects than with push. But I mean, like I said, you can run a long push campaign. You're just going to have to consistently update your creative and try to keep banner blindness, and it's an old term because banners aren't really a thing anymore. But native banners, but traditional banners, the like 300 by 250. We always used to say, like, you would get banner blindness after a certain amount of time that your creative ran because the audience had already seen it. And that's the same thing that we see with push. There's the audience on a push campaign is somewhat limited. Like, there's only so many new subscribers being added every day. So yes, you will most definitely start to see some fatigue, and you'll have to rotate creatives. But it can still, you can still run one for a while. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Final couple of questions. So first one from Anonymous. What's the best traffic for CPA Bitcoin offer?
I would say push. We're going back to what we were talking about earlier, the advertorials and stuff like that. That's really, that's where that kind of lander really works. Get people hooked to a story about someone making some money online. The housewife that suddenly made $1 million or something like that. That kind of stuff is what we really see. And then again, it's usually the countries you wouldn't expect. So Saudi Arabia, Russia, Kazakhstan, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Luke, do you have any experience with such offers?
I agree. From what I've seen, I don't run them a lot myself. I did run. There's some threads on affLIFT from, I think last year it was, that I was running those a little bit. But for the most part, not lately. But yeah, push is definitely where you're going to see the best results at that type of campaign compared to redirects and pops.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we have some more questions popping in, so let's take care of them, and we'll be approaching to an end soon. So first of all, is native easier to scale than push? I
think so. I think that push is more quick and dirty. To be honest, I think that natives are a bit more judging, because we work our natives on a different platform. So it's not with Zeropark, there's Volume DSP that runs native. But just listening to the compliancy rules between the two platforms, it seems like it's a lot harder to get a compliant campaign out on time. Where push, if you're going for the strategy in terms of what you're talking about with affLIFT and stuff like that, it's about getting campaigns out, testing them, moving on to the next one, get a campaign out, testing it, moving on to the next one, which is harder to do with native. Native, you need more of a solid kind of campaign straight away. So I think that it's much easier to get more profitable on push, but if you can work with native, you can make a phenomenal profits, of course. But natives, I think native takes a lot of experience.
Mm-hmm. Luke, do you have any experience to compare that?
Yeah, I would agree with everything you said there. The one thing that I would say with push as far as scaling a campaign is what I found is you can scale across traffic sources fairly easily. I'm not sure if that's going to be quite the same as with native, because there's so many different source IDs and stuff with native traffic. But with push, you know, if I have a campaign that's doing awesome on Zeropark, I'm going to scale that across multiple traffic sources. I preach that on affLIFT, and that's something that I personally do all the time, because a lot of times the results will be similar across sources. You're just getting access to more push lists. Like, you know, unfortunately, not everybody works with Zeropark yet, so there are other places with exclusive source lists that, you know, if it's working on Zeropark, you can scale other places as well. In fact, one of the best things about Zeropark is you get access to a bunch of different sources at once. So if you're running a push campaign and it seems to be working well, that's a good place to start, and then scale across.
Okay, moving on to Sutrano. Any promotion between affLIFT and Zeropark? So let me cover that. So first of all, if you're an affLIFT member, you get a 5% to your next deposit. There is a thread on the forum. I'm sure you'll be able to find that somewhere in the promo code section. Maybe Luke will be able to guide you with that. But there is our thread in that, our post where we posted a special link dedicated to affLIFT members where they can get 5% bonus to their next deposit with us. And if you're asking about a discount for affLIFT, that's use the code Zeropark when signing up, and this should get you 10%, if I remember, 10% off the of your subscription. So yeah, there is the promo. Moving on to Andrew. Yeah, sure.
Okay. For the affLIFT membership. So tomorrow is affLIFT's second birthday, and I'm gonna do a huge discount. So if you're gonna sign up and you want to sign up, you can message me or just wait until to register, but don't upgrade. And I'm gonna send out a mass message that'll be noticed on the site and stuff. Like, I'm gonna do a huge discount tomorrow because it's been an incredible year, and like I want to kind of give back, I guess, I don't know, and you know, provide some value to the community. So yeah, we're gonna have the 10% off with Zeropark is normal. So if you know you're watching this a month from now, you can use that Zeropark promo code. But if you are watching this live or you're going to be around tomorrow, there's going to be a big discount. So just wait until then. I'm not going to say what it is yet, but it's going to be good.
That's really exciting stuff from Luke here. So yeah, looking forward to tomorrow as well. And then the day after when our contest starts. So really exciting times for affLIFT right now, and we're really grateful to be a part of it. So yes, we're definitely looking forward to the next couple of days. Moving on, 3 more questions that we're going to answer here. First one from Andrew. Would you use the creatives that are given on the networks, or is it best to create your own? Luke, can you take that?
I typically recommend creating your own. If we're talking about, excuse me, if we're talking about a push creative, you can definitely use elements from the landing page in your own creatives. So an example with a dating campaign. If you're running a dating campaign on push, the dating website landing page has a picture of a girl. take a screenshot of that, and you can use that girl's image in your ad creative. So, and then you can also use that picture of that girl in your own landing page pre-sell. So what that does is it creates congruency, where on each step of the user's path, which we've talked about a few times already, like they're going to see the same girl. So they're going to think, oh, okay, this is legit. You know, this, not that it's not legit, but you know, this is, it's authentic. It looks organic. That type of positioning is going to convert well. So yes, I definitely recommend using your own creatives, but there's nothing wrong with trying to tie in elements of the landing page into your own landing page and into your own push creative. I think you'd be doing a mistake, yourself a misjustice if you didn't do that, because you want to create symmetry across your messaging, and that's a great way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Anonymous is asking, what is the best time to promote offers now in those lockdown times, basically, that we have right now?
So the question is, what?
I guess time of the day.
I think I would refer again to Luke's answer earlier on, which is that there's not really any time of the day that's particularly great for any offer. It's about learning the patterns. So sometimes you might learn that an offer works better in a different country, a different time, because you did testing and I don't know, at 6 p.m. people are signing up more for some reason. But you'd be surprised a lot of the sites, a lot of this campaigns actually work in middle of the night in that country and stuff like that. So like sometimes we have campaigns in the US that are converting better at 3 a.m. and stuff like that for some reason.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say about this is actually something that somebody said on affLIFT, and I was like, whoa, that makes a lot of sense. If you're running a push campaign, so you're running a push campaign on Zeropark, I would recommend trying to start your campaign in the morning or at night. So right now it's a little different because people are home all day and they're not at work in an office. But whenever you start your campaign, that's when the push notification is being sent to the user. It takes a little bit of time, but typically you start your campaign, it gets approved. Zeropark is going to start sending out those push notifications pretty much immediately. They're going to get you in the rotation. So that user is going to receive that push notification, let's say in the morning. When they wake up, they pull open their phone, boom, they get hit with a push notification. If it's been sitting there all night, it's possible that they just, ignore it. Same thing during the day. If they're busy doing something, let's say, I'm right now I'm talking to you guys and a notification pops up on my phone. I'm probably just going to ignore it, right? I'm busy. But if you hit me at night before I go to bed, I'm much more likely to click through. And same could be said for during the morning. Again, you want to test all different hours, and you're going to have clicks come in all through during the day once you start a campaign, a push campaign specifically. But that would be the one tip that I would say with push is try to start your campaign at a good time in the morning, and then even you can pause it during the day and then start it again at night maybe, and try to get a little extra engagement just by hitting the user when they're actually staring at their phone or not busy doing something else.
That's a great tip. Okay, I think we're ready for the final question of the day or of the night, depending on your time zone. Swedish Chef is asking, how fast will the bid change? How fast do they go live, those changes? How much time does it take? Neil, you want to take that technical question?
Yeah, sure. When you change your bid in the system, it automatically changes the bid that we're sending out. So the only thing is that it may take a while for the campaign to react depending on how fast you win traffic. So you may change the bid straight away, but then not see the actual cost per click change for a couple of minutes because it has to buy traffic for the averages to change. So that's really it. But yeah, it's as soon as you change something in Zeropark, it's instantaneously. We're real time bidding.
Yeah. Okay, we've covered. Yeah, look, you want to chime in? So
I just want to interject with one thing real quick. The best thing you can do as an affiliate when you're making changes to your campaign, so you change the bid, close out Zeropark, walk away. You just need to get away from it, because otherwise you're going to sit there and change it every 2 minutes, and it's not going to reflect an actual, significant amount of data. one guy, a real quick story. This is one of my favorites. A good friend of mine didn't do very well in affiliate marketing for years and years and years. And he said what changed that, he's a multimillionaire now, what changed that was setting up a Facebook campaign and going to the mall. He said he set up the campaign, left his house, he was gone for a couple hours, came back, and the results were good. He said if he hadn't left his house, he probably would have made a bunch of changes or paused that campaign too quick. And you know, things would have completely changed, you know, as far as like his end result. So as affiliates, we sit here all day. A lot of us sit here all day and just stare at the, you know, F5, refreshing our campaign. One of the better things that you can do is just try it. Just set it up, make sure it's working right. Like, you know, make sure your tracking is set up right and everything, and just close it out and go do something else. And then come back a couple hours later or whatever you're comfortable with and actually dive into the results. Don't do it live while the campaign is running, because you'll tend to make little changes that are going to hurt rather than improve the campaign.
Yeah,
it's
key.
Yeah, it's like we said earlier. It's about the same thing with budgets as well. If you put too low budgets, you spend $5, and then that $5.01 could be the converting guy. So it's just about having the patience to let it burn through its budget a little bit too.
Yeah, okay, that covers it for now. So I think this AMA went really well. We had a lot of activity, a lot of questions covered. So we may come back in the coming months. So like Luke said, tomorrow is a big day for affLIFT, the second birthday. Huge promotions going live there. And on May 1st, we're launching our contest with affLIFT, the follow-on contest with the historically big prizes from Zeropark. So we're looking forward to that. And we'd like to thank you for your participation in this AMA and for your questions. And answering your questions were Luke. Yeah. And Neil from Zeropark.
Sorry.
My name is Bart. It was a pleasure hosting you all here. Have a good one.
Thank you.